One of the toughest issues facing Utah schools this year is one most parents really don't even know about. A new safety law requires every Utah school to have an armed guardian on site every day.
Now, the goal, of course, is to protect against school threats, but news specialist Nene Wimmer found big concerns about who these school guardians will be.
There are more than 1,200 schools in Utah. That's a lot of guardians. Schools are quietly but nervously trying to find enough qualified volunteers.
Wanted. Armed guardians for every Utah school.
Every day from bell to bell.
To defend students with lethal force.
In the event that there is an active threat in the school.
They can't be teachers or administrators, and they can't be assigned. The law requires that they be volunteers.
Think of them kind of like an air marshal when you board an airplane.
Matt Pennington is the state's new security chief assigned to carry out the law, modeled after those in Texas and Florida.
If you try to attack a school here in Utah, you're going to be confronted. It's not a soft target anymore.
On top of all that, what are they going to get paid for doing all this?
Well, there's only a one-time $500 stipend.
That's right, a small stipend, but no salary.
Who then is going to take upon that responsibility?
I know it feels like we're about ready to drink from a fire hose. Take a deep breath.
These Canyons district administrators are being trained to be their school's chief safety officers, also a new requirement. They're testing a new required emergency app.
Well, here we go. Ready?
But the real emergency is finding guardians for each of their schools.
Are you concerned about that? Finding people who will carry a gun and defend kids if needed?
It's a lot to ask, and it is a lot of responsibility.
So it would have to be somebody that already, either that was already their job or somebody who was already really motivated to protect kids.
Remember, the law states they can't be administrators or teachers. Only a few existing employees would qualify, like the school custodian or the school secretary.
When you envision what the school secretary looks like, do you really envision that the person is the person who would run toward an issue?
And to make matters worse, Canyon surveyed their employees asking who would take part. 3/4 said no thanks. We reached out to several districts to see how they're complying with the law. Ogden District also found low interest among employees. If they can't designate volunteers, several districts are considering other solutions that would pull from their already stretched budgets. Granite, Cache, Ogden, and Weber suggest school resource officers might help in this role. Even if there were enough officers to cover the schools, it would cost districts hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Provo might have to augment pay of existing employees at an estimated cost of $200,000 a year. Canyons has considered private security, which they estimate would exceed $1 million. Some of the largest districts, Alpine, Davis, and Granite, are awaiting more guidance from the state on administrative, legal, and financial questions. For now, they're all working on the required school safety needs assessments.
Thank you for having us today.
While most districts are still formulating a plan, we found one district that has already hired most of their guardians. Washington District.
Anybody who doesn't currently have a concealed weapons permit will put you through the class.
They say they can't talk much about who has volunteered because by law, the identity of these guardians is protected. Disclosing it, a Class B misdemeanor. But they are all existing employees and are only receiving the $500 stipend. Once districts finish recruiting, they conduct a mental health evaluation, then training starts. It might look something like this exercise hosted for educators in Emery County. In each county, it's the sheriff's department's responsibility to train volunteers. Like the schools, law enforcement feels the weight and cost of this new law.
We're going to take it to a much higher level because if we're going to ask you to do something to protect our kids, we're going to make sure that you're ready to do it.
Even before they get the volunteers, districts are facing questions. Who pays for the guns, the ammo? Pennington says guardians can use the stipend to buy firearms.
Do you think people will take on that added responsibility for $500?
I don't think it's about the money, right? The money is just a benefit to provide them with a resource for the equipment.
But educators say it is about the money. They prioritize safety, but they don't want to have to choose between hiring guardians and hiring teachers. Every district in Utah has until the end of the year to come up with their plans. Back to you in the studio.